Hi everyone, Miss Alison here for another episode of Exploring My City Through Art. What city is that, you say? New Bedford, our beautiful New Bedford. So today we are going to learn how to make sailors' valentines. Now, behind me are some examples of sailors' valentines, the shell art, and this is one of the traditional ones. And the three major things you want to know about sailors' valentines look at the shape. The shape is always a traditional 8-sided shape, which is called an octagon. Okay, so it's always an octagon shape. Then the second thing is that it's made with shells. All sorts of different shaped shells and sizes of shells. And the third thing is that it is symmetrical. Symmetrical meaning like a mirror image. What is that on one side repeats on the other side. But we'll talk more about that when we start to make our sailors' valentines. Before that, I want to talk a little bit of history about the sailors' valentines. Where did they come from? When did artists start making them? Okay, so there's a little bit of history and a little bit of a legend too. And sometimes, ideas and facts get twisted as time goes on. So legend has it that the sailors, the whalers on the whale ships, would make these intricate, beautiful sailors' valentines for their sweethearts and loved ones at home, back home. But the reality of it is that they actually bought it from native women on the beaches, on the Caribbean beaches, particularly Barbados, where these artists would sell these beautiful sailors' valentines to the whalers. So the whalers bought it from them and then they brought it back home to their loved ones. Okay, so the whalers never made them. They bought them from the women who made them on the beaches and sold it to them. And it's funny how history kind of, changes as time goes by. And it's a romantic thought, isn't it? That the sailors would make this lovely art form. And because we also know that with scrimshaw, the sailors made these scrimshaw on the ships. So I think as time went by, people just assumed they also made the sailors' valentines, and they did not. So it's always good to know a little history. Okay, so here's some other examples. This one actually says Barbados on it. So this is an example of traditional type sailors' valentines. As you can see, look at all those different shapes and colors of shells. The entire thing is made of shells. Beautiful. Here's another one. Look at that, star-shaped. We talked about symmetry. Look at the symmetry. Anything that is down there, it's a mirror image. One side equals the other. They're all repeated patterns. And here's another one here. It says, forget me not. Yeah. When far away. Look at those beautiful shells. So today we are going to make similar ones, and I'm going to show you different ways we can, tweak the idea, use different materials. We're going to use some lovely shells, but we can also use other materials in it. So let's get started. Okay, we are ready to begin. So first what we have here is a template of your octagon shape. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 sides, okay? So you're going to get a template in your art bags. And so if you just get one, what you can do is just cut all the way around. So then you have a free template like this. So if you want, I'm not sure if they're going to give you other colors, but you experiment. So if you have a white template, right, that you're going to use, and you want to use a colored paper, then you get any piece of colored paper that you like, put it there, and trace it out with your pencil, carefully holding down, going all the way around, and then you will cut it out, and you would have your template in different color, okay? Here I have some other examples of templates. This is a patterned one, if you want patterns, but be careful with patterns because it can compete with your shells. So look at the pattern, see if you would like that. So I did one in red. I want a red background for mine, okay? Good. So you're going to have your, whatever you're going to use. So your template gives you your shape. This is my final shape in the color I want. You can use white, you could use patterned, any color you want, okay? And then in your art kits, you should also have a piece of matte board or any kind of sturdy board, okay? Mine has a color on it, it's yellow, or you could use plain white if you want. But the colors make it pop out and stand out. So you're gonna have a piece of sturdy matte board or any kind of sturdy board and your template. And now you're going to glue it down in the center. Okay, so let's put that aside and we're going to glue it. I'm just going to use our stick glue. We're using our stick glue for the paper, but when we glue our shells, I want us to use the white school glue because it's thicker, it's heavier. It dries clear. This dries clear too, but this really wouldn't hold the shells. The shells are heavy, and we're also using other materials too besides the shells, and I'll show you that in a second. But let's get our frame, our base together. This is the base of our Sailor's Valentines. See? All right, so we have our base ready. We are ready to go. We are ready to go. Now we're going to design. Now, knowing me, I always tell my students to do a study first. I like to do a study first. They like to go on. You know, I would allow for you to do a design on top of this, but really lightly in pencil. So you can change your mind, okay? But I really like to come up with an idea. Now, remember what I said before, that one of the main things of Sailor's Valentines is that it's symmetrical. It's symmetrical. What's that? A mirror image. What is ever on one side repeats itself on the other, okay? So look at these major shapes. I want you to think about the major shapes here. Look at this one. Okay, we have the pink shells, the brown shells, and the white with this, it looks like a flower. Right opposite that, a mirror image. If I was to fold this in half, it's the same pattern. Look at this pattern here with this curly cues of the shells. Then these white ones and these oranges there. What happens when I go straight across? The same pattern. Same here, okay? Heart in the middle. Now, heart is a symmetrical shape. If you put a line down the middle, fold it in half, it's the same exact. So you can get away with doing like a heart there. Okay? So, but be careful with making a shape that's not symmetrical. Okay? So the main thing, you want to think about that. You really want to think about that. Because I know students get really excited when they're using the shells and they just want to stick shells everywhere. But you really have to think about it. It's a science set. And I know all of you have learned about symmetry in math class and science. So you know what you're going to be doing. Good. All right. So we have this all set and ready. Oh, this is my sketch. Now, I'm going to show you a trick. What I like to do, because sometimes even though we say we know what symmetry is, we find it hard to begin a pattern. So I like to find where the center is, okay? Sometimes for your center, look at this. I would just fold it. Instead of measuring, you can measure if you want. Fold it there and then fold it again. What does that do? That gives me an estimate of where my center is, and I put a dot. I always think it's so important to find your center. Find your center so that whatever you put there, then it reacts, okay? Look at these lines I came down when I did the folding. I like them, so I might keep them. So what you're going to do in this study, either on this page or on the final, you're just going to lightly put a design, but really where the shells are going to go. You don't have to draw the shells. But what I'm doing, I'm just doing a pattern of a design. Now this is symmetrical. One line down, one line down. Okay? Now, what else could I do? Like I might put a big shell here and then shells on these lines. Okay? So Um, Sometimes you can use a template. I have these little circular containers. You can use it, but you must, if I want a circle around, I can do that. Look at that. And this is just me. I'm just going with the flow of what I think I would like. You do not have to put a circle in the middle, but whatever you do should be symmetrical. Again, look at my circle. Okay? And then different things. You can have a line from this center going back out, right to the middle. You are going to design, you're going to draw lines where you think you want to put your shelves. I really want you to think about where you want to put it. Now, look at my pattern. This just kind of helps me to start, right? It helps me to start. And you could take it to the next level. You can take it to the next level for sure. Okay? So there. Press hard. So I see that is my middle. Once I get my middle, that is it. That is it. Okay? So I just did it on this practice sheet first and did it on my real one. But you can go straight on your real one once you don't press too hard with the pencil in case you want to make any kind of adjustments. Now, if I wanted a bigger circle, then I use a larger circle. But if I'm using a template as a circle, I really want to make sure that it's in the center. Okay. So that's just lightly, you seeing it? Lightly done. It'll give me an idea of what I want to start with, but then I can change my mind as I go along. That's what I want you to do. I want you to change your mind. I want you to come up with other things like, oh, this is a nice idea. Maybe I could add this. I could add that. Okay, so we're ready with this, and now we're gonna go for our shells. Exciting, exciting. All right. So let's just put this aside and talk about the shells for a while. Everybody's going to get a little baggie full of an assortment of shells. I just love shells. They're just fun. Reminds me of the beach. Reminds me of summertime. For me, it reminds me of home. I'm from the Caribbean. And look at just all of these beautiful organic shapes and sizes, colors. Look at this one. I love these. You see the color here? It's like a white or cream color, but when you turn it over, it's a beautiful purple. So what I do so that I can be organized. Now, this is an exercise where if you're not very organized, you want to try and organize what you're doing. You see what I have? I have my little cups. You can have any little containers you want, or you can just have them in little molds, little sections. You just have it on your table in little sections of the same type. Okay, so I had already started to separate. These are the ones with the purple insides. So I'm going to do that. I know that I want to do that. So I put them aside. Then these here, look at these. I think periwinkle. I'm not sure. I don't know the names of all of them. But I have a group of those that I pieced together. Okay, so I already did this ahead of time, so I wouldn't take up too much time, but I want you to take your time, have fun, look at the different shells, see what you can do with them, what kind of shapes they make, right? All of them may not be the same size. It may be a little off, but once they're basically around the same kind of shape and size. Got it? Now, other things you can use besides shells. Look at this. We have a lot of this at the museum. Some of you will get this. This is actually bird seed, bird feed. Look at it. Right? It comes like that with these. So you can separate it. You can take the dark ones out and just use the ones with the bird seed alone in it, right? You can also use rice. I have rice mixed into that one. You can use white rice, brown rice, then any kind of bean or peas. These are black beans. Look at that. We can use red beans. We can use black-eyed peas, anything you have, So you can ask your family if it's okay that you can use that, or we will provide some of these for you too. But it's just like if you want to do this on your own and you don't have shells, you can use all of these. And I like it because it gives a nice contrast of color. Okay? So we're ready to begin. I bring back my final piece. This is my piece. Stuck down the template onto it, onto my backing. It's red and yellow, bright. And now I'm ready for my shells and my other things that I'm going to make my sailor's Valentine. Now, at this point, we are not gluing down anything. At this point, we are just looking at what we have and placing it together, thinking about, oh, where can I put these? Can I do something like this? Can I do something like this? Look at that. Right? But remember, if you don't have enough, you have to go and look for another one. Because you can't just put down some, let's say you only have one of these. We would like to get one similar to go on the other side. So you put these together and see what do you have that's similar. These are all similar. So suppose I was to do this. This would be symmetry, right? Okay. What I like to do, I always like to go with a large one in the middle. You don't have to, but think about something that you want to put in the middle. And also, please don't think that you need to put these huge shells all over. The largest one, just like maybe one large one, okay? Medium sizes, but to the outside. But you want to get the little ones as well, because the little ones will give you a nice detail, okay? Suppose I do that. Look at that. This is a nice big shell, and I can anchor it in the middle. Now remember, nothing is set in stone yet, meaning I haven't decided. I'm still playing around, okay? I'm still looking at what I have and being like, oh, look at this other shell. That's a nice big one. But I like to use the big ones in the middle. Don't just clump a big one somewhere, especially if you don't have another one to match it, okay? These are lovely too. Suppose I put that one right in the center. I like that, okay? Very nice. Okay, so all these ideas. I think I like this one, so I'm going to put that there. Now, look at the circle I have. Maybe I could use these little ones to go around my circle. So then I take my time and I do this. Oh, this is lovely. Now, when we do this at the art museum, Artworks, with my class, we have so much fun. And it's a nice project where we are a community, where we come together, we help each other. And because the students are like, oh, does anybody have any more of these shells? I don't have any more. And then other people would look for the shells for them and help them find, or in their little handful of shells, they'd be like, oh, I have one and I'm not using it. You want this one? So everybody's sharing materials. It really is a beautiful experience because we're all, helping each other and trying to find the best shells that we can do. All right. Do you see what I'm doing here? So all of these shells that I'm making in the circle are similar to each other. And it's a circle, so it's still feeling very symmetrical, okay? Some might be a little smaller than others. You got that? Look at that. I haven't stuck down anything yet because I haven't fully made up my mind, okay? Let's put this back there, put that off. All right, what about, ooh, look at these. Now, depending, you may not get the same handful of shells I got. Okay, you're just going to get a bag of random shells. Look at these. But then you're going to separate them. And I like how these are. These are like mini ones of the ones I have in the middle. So, look at this. I might decide I want to put, it's a similar type of shell to make it a symmetry. I mean, all of them may not have the same pattern, but you can tell the ones that are pretty much similar to each other, okay? Suppose I put these on all of the lines that I have. I don't have one. I have to look and go and see if I have another one. Okay? If I don't have all, then I take away a couple and I make sure it's symmetry. These two, these two. Okay? I put this type, this type. Remember, if I am putting, look at the shape of this. You see how it has a line here? If I'm putting it this way and it's facing inside, all of them need to, the ones that are opposite need to do the same thing. Okay? And then we go. We continue. Take your time. You can change your mind. Oh, I'm going in with my black beans. What would I like to do with my black beans? Maybe follow the lines. I have these great lines that I made. Remember, we're not just jumping in. We're making a plan. That's why I drew in pencil my lines. You don't need to draw the shells. You're just going to do the lines. Look at what I did. If I did one here, one line coming across, I need to do this on the opposite side because it's symmetrical. And I would like to count, okay, if I have 1, 2, 3, 4, I should have 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, if I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, opposite, mirror image, I should have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Got it? Look at that. See, it's coming out already. It's coming together. And then you keep adding. You keep adding. Now, look at these. These are in the middle of this line. Everything is adding up symmetrically, okay? And then you think, what else do I want? What else do I want? Now, the little ones, like the seaweed, you could actually pour into like glue and you will get a shape, okay? You will get a shape around it. So, like the bird seed, did I say seaweed? The bird seed or the rice, anything that's small like that, okay? Or the pebbles, etc. You can put your glue in and do it. So I'm gonna start with the glue. I want you to take your time. So you'll really fill it up and see what's going on here. But I want you to see what's happening within the time we have together, okay? So I want to do that. Okay, now I have my white glue. So it's your regular school glue. Pour it out into a container. I poured it out here. I did not dilute it. It is thick straight from the container because we need it like that because these are heavier items, okay? All right. So I think I'm going to do the center, right? Now, if you put a bunch of glue right here, it's not going to stick because it's hollow. Where it's going to stick is right on the edges. So I take my glue. We can move these aside. Oopsie. Move these aside, boo, boo, boo. And then we put our glue. So even if I have it in the middle, but I want extra glue on the edges, this is where it sticks. On those edges. It can get messy, but it is still very fun. Now, all of you who use white glue will know that it dries clear. So let's not even get, too worried about you seeing the white around it. Okay, when you put it down, leave it. Don't keep moving it around. Leave it right there. Now, we are going to put the little ones. Now, you see, we have glue all around in this circle. We're going to put the little ones in the circle because that was the pattern that I came up with. You come up with your own pattern. And look at that. I put it there. I put it here. Make sure there's enough glue. It looks like it's a lot of glue and it's a mess, but it's enough because it will dry clear. So you're nestling the little shells right into the glue. and you're following the pattern that I did, which is a circular pattern. Of course, you are going to do your own pattern, but I'm begging you to think about it because your pattern needs to be symmetrical. Okay? A circle is symmetrical. You can divide a circle in half and quarters, and it's all equal. Other shapes are not symmetrical. So the circle, and we have the center one, the large one. Okay? Let's do some of the black beans. On this line, I'm going to put a nice thick line of glue. And what do? I just place. Remember, if you're putting 5 black beans, you're going to put 5 opposite where the mirror image is. You seeing that? And I will do the same on these because they're going to be, right? I have 4 here, 4 and 4, 5 and 5. Or you can make them all 5. But whatever is opposite needs to be the same. Please remember that. Please remember that, okay? All right. I want to give you an example of when we use smaller objects. So I'm just going to move this. We will do the black beans after. But I want to see what happens. I want you to see what happens when we use these. Okay, so we have some of the seaweed. Maybe I'm going to use it on these lines with this shell. These shells here. So let me glue down this shell first. And then I'm going to put a line. A nice thick line of glue. You see in my thick line of glue, I have a shell here and a thick line of glue. Now I'm going in with my bird seed. I'm pouring a little in my hand. Now if I have anything that's mixed into there, I see some of my black beans in there. Because some things, after you do it for a while, you know, some of your things might mix together. So I'm just taking out the larger ones, the ones that have the colors in it. And I want mainly that birdseed and rice. Look at that, right? I take some with my fingers and I sprinkle. Almost like when you use glitter and you put a little extra and it's all over. Look at that. But then what do? You dust it off, right? You dust it off. So, get some paper under here. And whoops, those ones stuck down. You will learn as you go along. Look at that. All right. See? So, you just want to clean up your area as you go along. Clean up your area. All right, look at this. And you could neaten it up, okay? Look at that. So as you can see, you can take something sharp and take off the excess if you didn't like that excess there. Make it, you want a line, shift it so that it's a nice, neat line. Look at what I'm using, like a sharp object or the, right? Seeing that? Good. So if I did this here, what am I going to do opposite? The same thing. This line that goes right there. Seeing that? Let's do it again. I put my glue. Let's try it where I'm going to put this on before the other shell. You know, as you go along, you see what works for you and what doesn't work for you. Okay? So I think that I preferred if I put these first and then the bigger shell at the end. Okay. And again, dust it off. Just like when you have glitter. Okay, do you notice how I neatened it up there? Because it's still wet, so you can go in with something sharp and make that line straight. Okay? Then I can go in with a little more glue, and I can put another one like this opposite. So this is similar to that one. I'm going to go opposite with it. Actually, let's put some more glue because we want that to stand good, to stick down nice and sturdy. Flat side pointing inward because this one's flat side points inward. You see what's happening? Symmetry. Here, there, symmetry. Large one in the center, circle, symmetry. Look, we have our black beans. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What does that mean? Am I going to put it here? No, unless I'm putting it there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. Opposite. Now you can do the black beans on each of those lines, or it could just be there. Just think about it. Whatever is on one side will be on the other. Count them. You have 5. You're going to put 5 black beans. See? It's coming together. And you're just going to keep adding, and you're going to keep adding, and you're going to keep adding. Okay? So, let's see what happens. Let's see what you get. That is going to be so much fun. So, let's take your time, continue, and I'll come back with my finished one, and then we can talk about what you have. I mean, I'm sure you're going to get some really interesting things. Okay, I am back, and I hope you had a lot of fun doing this. Now, this is the one that I did, and it's still drying. And you know, when it's totally dry, I might add more things to it. But what I want to let you see is that you want it simple enough so that you're understanding the law of symmetry, and then you're repeating some of those patterns, right? Seeing it there? Okay, now I want to show you some examples that we have here. This was another one I did, and it's a little more intricate. But here are the shells I was telling you about where the underneath is purple. So those are lovely. Those are in the group of shells that I got as well. So you might get some of those. So think about, you can use the inside part too because they have different colors. And again, I followed lines with different types. So these are the same sort of shells, and they're repeated. So anything on the opposite side, it's equal. Same things with these little ones, these little brown periwinkles. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, right? Think about the numbers. Now, when you have the little ones, the really tiny ones, you don't have to count them, right? So I just kind of put them in a cluster and in the circle, okay? And then you see the background that I had, the pattern. Okay, so that's one of mine. Let me show you some student work. We got some really lovely student work that we've done over the years. This is from last year. Get it closer. Oh, here we go. Here we go. I have to go close up for you to see. Look at the pattern behind, a pink pattern paper that we use. And then, well, this one lost the octagon shape, but that's still very beautiful. I love how these shells go all the way around. They're all similar, even though they're a little off with the colors. They're all same kind of shell. Then the 1, 2, 3. Look at this white kind of gravel-like material. And we put it down, just like how we had the birdseed, and you put it down like in a cluster. So you put a big line of of glue, and then you put it in, like if it's glitter, right? And then you'll have to dust it off. So this gives a really nice effect. Here's another one. This one is on black paper. So the octagon is on a black paper. So it stands out with the colors of the shells, okay? With all those neutral colors of the browns and beiges and whites. You seeing that? And again, symmetrical. Remember, you must make it symmetrical. These have circles, lines, okay? This is a nice one. This one has black beans in it. Look at those, following the lines, like what I did with the lines. But I used fewer beans, so there will be spaces in between. Look at this. I love how this is. Close together. So you get a solid black line. Look at that. Lovely, lovely. Okay? Now, some parts, don't add up. So think about it. When you have your clusters, it still works lovely, all right? But you want to think about, it works because all of these were symmetrical. So it kept it within that shape. But explore. Now, sometimes you could take a chance. Now, when you look at the traditional ones that we had before, I don't have my traditional one here. Okay, but you saw that they were full. They were full of shells, okay? With ours, we want to leave some of that background to really understand that negative and positive space. However, you can fill it in. A student did this one. You have to be careful because it could be overwhelming and you could lose a lot of what you got. But this still worked really nice. I think this was this person's second one. So try more than one. See what happens. See all the possibilities that you can get. So this is such a wonderful project, and I hope you have so much fun making sailors' Valentines. And remember the history. The sailors did not make these, okay? The women from Barbados and other Caribbean islands on the beach, they would make them, okay? So have fun, and I will see you next class for another episode of Exploring My City Through Art. Bye!